he was visibly sitting here, and the celebration for was being on the road to beating cancer. But that wasn't God's plan. He decided he didn't want Curt to endure that journey. As much as we all think we're in control of our lives, we aren't. Curt and I were very blessed with a special gift, and we knew it. Often he would proclaim, "She's a lucky woman." No truer words were spoken. I am. We were thankful for each day, hour, and minute we were given together. We were a great team. Each day we knew we had each other's back. We were loved and needed, a safe place to land, no matter what the day brought. He loved little Tole and what we created together. He was so eager to have all the kids here at one time. Well, Curt, as you know, they are all here. And although I know you are too, I'm sad you aren't physically here to enjoy it. You would be loving this. Curt left me many gifts. The most important was what he felt was his greatest achievement. Travis and Tyler, our daughter-in-laws, Emily and Nathan, granddaughter Ava, and future grandchildren. Some words of wisdom that were shared with me a long time ago. Love and cherish the person God has loaned you. You never know when He is going to want them back with Him. Please bow your heads for a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us together to give thanks to you for blessing us with your beautiful child, Curt. His smile, humor, laughter, and dancing eyes brought endless amount of joy and memories to our lives. One of your special angels kissed his heart before he came to earth and made it golden. Our hearts are broken and sad that you wanted him back so soon, but he gave us so much while he was here. Curt is gone from our sight and touch, but he lives on in our hearts and with you in heaven. He loved you, and I know that each of us has a special guardian angel who will be waiting at the golden gates to meet us when our time comes to join you in heaven. Thank you for the blessings you give us daily, for strength to carry on during challenges, for your hand, your arms wrapped around us, or for carrying us during difficult, uncertain times, for the endless, unconditional love you give us, and for the promise that we will see Curt again as we too spend eternity with you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thanks, Mom, for that beautiful prayer and getting things kicked off here. Hey, everybody, first off, thanks so much for coming out today. I know each and every single one of us has been touched by Curt in so many different ways, and it's especially great to be here in this amazing place because I know this place meant so much to him. But I'm going to go back to when I first met Curt, and it was, he was taking my mom and I out on a date. And I say he was taking me out on a date as well because he knew pretty darn well that he needed to knock me off my feet too, just like I know that he'd swept her off of hers already before this. So it was an interesting evening. He was taking us out to a Timberwolves game to sit courtside, and first impressions mean a lot. So first impression I got about Curt was I figured out how devout he was to Pepsi. And as soon as he opened my refrigerator, and I should have known better, guess what I had? I had a 12-pack of Coke sitting there, so I found out the hard way. That's not a good idea. But first impressions continued, and Curt moved a little fast on that first date for my liking. So I'll just say when we were getting up from the game, he decided it was a good idea to put his hand in my mom's back pocket, which, cute, but I had to put a stop to that right away. So, but I had no idea at the time that this man that meant so much to my mom was going to mean so much to me also. And the world he's opened for me with Trav and Ty and this awesome family and friends here, just, I can't thank him enough. So, you don't think someone who doesn't create you is going to mean so much and really just kind of create who you are as a person. And for that, I'm just really thankful. So thanks for being here. Gonna pass this one off to Trav.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
As Nathan said, thank you for everyone for coming. We have people from all over the U.S. that came here today. We got Boston, we got North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Montana, Arizona, Iowa.
Colorado.
Am I missing anything else?
Colorado.
Yep. So, South Dakota, North Dakota.
You forgot Utah.
Utah. Anyone else?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yep. Last but not least. But seriously, thank you everyone for coming. It truly means a lot to see how much of he touched everyone in the world that he met, and everyone here is everyone that he loved. So, thank you for coming. And Little Toad Lake, I know is special to everyone here. It was especially special to him, and myself too, of all the memories that I have of my dad and all of us growing up. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I just wanted to say thank you for everyone for coming. And on Thursday at the memorial, someone said it at Pepsi the best, that he truly was a person that made everyone smile. And so as you look in the garage, we have a bunch of pictures and everything held up, and every single picture that you see of him, he's got a huge smile on his face, and everyone else around him is smiling. And so that's what we want today to be, is a celebration, to think of the good times, to share the funny stories, the stupid jokes that we all heard 47 times that he told over and over and over again. But really to celebrate him and to get everyone together. COVID took a lot away from us when he passed, and hopefully this can bring a lot together for everyone. So just want to say thank you, and a little for
Hi, I'm Denny Hilgers. I'm the oldest brother. Curt had 5 brothers.
A little closer.
Can't hear you. Closer to me.
How's this?
That's good.
Okay. I'm Denny Hilgers, the oldest brother. Curt had, of course, 5 brothers and 2 sisters. And everybody's here, including our brother Jim from Florida. I just wanted to say right after the prayer, a lot of you may not know that Curt was fairly religious. And at one time he told me every night he kneeled down and said his prayers. And I think he did a good job praying for good weather today. I want to introduce 3 people that are very close to Curt. There's a lot of people that said, they were his best friends, but Daryl Anderson, can you come up here? Daryl is married to our cousin Trudy. Come on over here on my left, please. And then Steve Marks. Radar. Some of you have heard the name Radar. This is Radar. Radar Love. And another one, one of his good hunting and fishing buddies right here on my right is Bob Famous. Bob? He's very famous in Moorhead. He's even got the name. There's a lot of other wannabes. I can mention my Hilgers cousin Mike, who used to say, Curty and I, we're best friends. We're best friends, aren't we, Curty?
Right there.
Oh, he is! Oh, come on up here, Mikey. Come on up, Mikey Hilgers from Phoenix. Who's your best friend?
Gertie's my best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't believe it. That is terrific. He had a neighbor, Mike Pankow, lived a block away from us. Mike wrote a nice letter and said when he was growing up, he considered Curt his best friend. Across the lake, I don't know if some of the older guys like Pete and Lynn will remember this name. Trudy, maybe. The name Gary Korsgarden. His dad was a policeman, and they had a cabin over there. And I contacted Gary and told him about what happened, and he sent me a very nice letter, which I would like to read. Gary says, I remember most about Curt was his smile. He was always so happy. Curt and I played together on weekends and while on vacation at Little Toad Lake. With permission from Ted Blauert, who still lives there, well, the old man died, but Teddy's there. With their blessing, we built a treehouse. I had never heard this. We enjoyed sitting high above the road, going into the Blauert's home and talking. Many times we were up in the tree when Ted Blauert drove his loud John Deere tractor below while returning from the field. God put special friends in our lives to take care of us. Curt was one of those friends that took care of me during the early years of my life. That's from Gary. I'm going to read another tribute that was done on Facebook by a fellow you wouldn't expect it. He's a former Marine, and he wrote a beautiful thing on Facebook, which I printed. And Daryl, I've got a picture of Daryl here with Curt with a nice 6-point buck that they shot here in Little Toad. Here's what Daryl wrote on Facebook. I could say, what do I have to be thankful for after losing my best friend, Curt Hilgers? He was a champion of a man. He raised 2 wonderful boys and a daughter he called his own. And 2 children, daughter and son, started a new life with his wife, Laree, a wonderful woman. He loved her so, and we all know that. I knew Curt for 47 years. Never had a crossword between us. He walked in life as a true American. A long career with Pepsi, 41 years. Honest, respectful, diligent, as every man should be. I'm thankful he was my best friend, and all his family, and my family, and all my friends. God bless you. And here's the kicker. I'll see you when it's time. It's going to be time for all of us, but hopefully we'll all meet up in heaven. Anyway, I was very impressed with Daryl. So Daryl, well, nice job. Give him a round of applause, please. You know, at Curt's visitation, they drove the Pepsi truck and had it parked in front of the funeral home. And I mentioned it to a couple of people, and they say, yeah, isn't that a coincidence? And I said, no, that's not a coincidence. His boss made sure the Pepsi truck was there in front of the funeral, kind of like a policeman with his escort. But Curt loved his job. He started at Pepsi at the bottom. He worked in the bottling plant. I didn't really realize that, but I guess it's quite noisy because that's where they put the liquid into the bottles. And he worked there for a while, and he saw a manager named Rocky who he knew a little bit, and he said, Rocky, can I get into management? And Rocky says, be here first thing in the morning. Rocky said, I got there about 8 o'clock. Curt was waiting at the door for me. So that's how Curt got into management, although I found out he had to leave his union job there, but there was a union for the managers too, so he still was a union man. As a manager, he worked his way up from the bottom and eventually was in charge of chain stores, lots of restaurants. He knew a lot of people. He was highly, highly regarded there. And they'd had a contest one time, and he put together his team, and everybody had to come up with a name. And of course, Curt is great at names. He called his team the Dream Team. Even Rocky said even the executives from New York wanted to hear about this Dream Team because they'd heard so much about it. I want to tell one story about illustrates Curt. This is a Pepsi story. He loved basketball, and he was on their Pepsi basketball team. And they were in the playoffs one year, and they had a decent team. They won their first couple games, but the next game on a Wednesday was against the black team from the inner city, and they could jump, through the roof. And Curt was trying to encourage them, hey, we can beat these guys, we can beat these guys. But one guy said, no, I'm not coming next week, I got something going on. And everybody came except him, even though Curt begged him to come because we need you. Well, the guy didn't come. So Curt and his buddies played the game, and they lost to the high-scoring black team. Curt gathered them up after the game, and he tells his buddies, okay, when you go back to work, you tell them we won by 10 points. And so everybody got in on this little joke. And when they went back to work, the guy that didn't show up said, well, how'd you guys do? Well, we won. Yeah, we're in the playoffs next week, next Wednesday. You better be there. You won? Yeah, we won. So everybody was in on the joke. Next Wednesday, the guy goes to the gym, and he's suiting up, and he sees all these black guys, and he says, hey, what do you do? I thought we beat you last week. No, we beat you. So he went back to work, and I guess the guy was really upset, but everybody had a pretty good laugh over it. But that's Curt. He's got a million stories, and if you'd like to get up and tell a story on this microphone sometime this afternoon or evening, we'd love to hear it. I know when we had the Little Toad Golf Tournament, Curt would bring Pepsi shirts and hats. So I think we should end this by saying, everybody who got a Pepsi shirt or a cap from Curt, you know how the cheer goes. You raise your arm, and what do you say?
Or.
Okay. Everybody have a great time. Does anybody else want to say anything?
I'll say something.
Okay, this is Bob Famous.
Yeah, I got to know Curt. We moved to Moorhead when I was in 5th grade, and Curt befriended me right away. So we played basketball together, baseball together, football together, and we had a hell of a good time together. And years later, we took Trav and Tyler duck hunting, and Curt got the face mask of Jesse Ventura. And he put that on. He wore that the entire weekend of duck hunting. I got pictures to show you. He wore that mask all the time. And anytime a farmer would go by, he'd give him the high five to the farmer. So that was fun. I always had laughs with Curt. He was my best friend, and I will really miss him. Thank you.
I'm Radar.
Radar love.
Radar Love. Curt loved that name. I got it at Ziegler's when I worked, and when I first got deemed that name, they said, hey, you look like Radar. And I come back and I told Curt, I said, gosh, I hate that name. I don't think I look like him. Curt goes, yeah, you look like him. And anyway, so finally I ended up embracing it, and Curt always called me Radar. Curt and I met at Crookston, and the first time we met, him and Tom Flanagan, that's an old name that some of you remember, were playing pool. So another guy from my hometown, Randy Rosentrader, and I said, hey, how about we play you two in pool? Oh, Curt goes, oh, yeah, absolutely. So we played 8-ball, and those guys broke. And after they broke the table between him and Tom, in about 2 deals, they cleaned house on us. And I go, man, I said to Rosentrader, these guys must be bull sharks. You know, we got sucked in. And they're going, oh, no, no. And so we played another game, and they did the same thing. And afterwards, Curt said that was the best pool game he's ever played. And I could tell stories, but they always tell me to shut up. But one more quick thing. Curt was a big innovator. Curt was the first guy I ever known to have a telephone in his car. And the telephone wasn't hooked up. It was a wall rotary phone that he put on under his seat, and he'd grab it up and hold it up on his shoulder like he was talking on the phone. There'd be somebody going down the street, and he'd go, "Hey, hi, how you doing?" Anyway, Curt was so special, and you can tell that by how many people here claim that he wasn't their best friend, and I'm one of them people.
Yep.
And the whole family has meant so much to me, including you, Lil. You taught me a lot about life. I was just a dumb farm kid, still am, and you guys showed me a lot of the ropes and stuff, how to relate to people, and I thank your whole family, Lil, for that.
Thank you.
God bless you. God bless Curt. Take care.
I do have a story too. We'd always go to Frank's and mother and dad's place to farm every weekend. And then Curt and I was out there. We had our 22. We had our 22s out there, and we're saying, let's go get some crows. So we're out there in the woods trying to shoot some crows, and all of a sudden there's a black one up in a tree. So I shoot it, and it falls down. Well, Curt goes over there, Mike. That's a hen. That's a chicken. And I go, one of Grandpa's chickens? Yes, yes. What am I going to do? And Curt goes, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say anything. And I say, Curt, I got to go tell my dad. So I go in there, and they're in the kitchen, go tell my dad. And he says, well, where is it? So he walks out to the trees, and he goes, picks it up, and he brings it back inside the place and slams it on the table. He said, there you go, Dad. Now you have dinner tonight. You got a nice chicken. So that was into the story, but it was so funny. I'll never forget that. Here I shoot a chicken up in the tree. But that's just one story of many with Curt. So I just love the guy. We had so much fun together.
I'm Daryl Anderson. Curt was real special to me. I've known him for a long, long time, and so many different stories that we could come up with. We talked once a week, usually on the phone, but one story I do remember is we were deer hunting, and we came upon a gentleman by the name of Radar. And he was dressing the deer out off the side through his rib cage. And Curt says, "What are you doing?" And I'm gutting the deer. "Yeah, but that's my knife." And he said, Radar says, no, well, you broke my knife, Radar. So now you need to finish up what you're doing here. It's a mess. And I will. Off we went. And I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Thank you, best friends. Anybody else want to say anything? Well, like I said, we have a microphone here. It'll be here all day. Oh, somebody's coming up. Oh, Gary Hilgers, who, by the way, is our family videographer. So he has put together quite a few videos of Curt up there on that TV. Gary?
Thank you for that. I guess, there's so many stories, but there's one that came to mind with Curt was over at Connie's and Trudy's. It was Connie's daughter, Cassie, was earlier in her career as a TV weather person. I'm just going to read this. It's going to be easier for me to do that. So, but before then, she was working in Florida. Before that, she was working in other states of New Mexico, and I think now was back in Florida. And Curt and I had come over there that night about 10 o'clock, and we're visiting, and full room inside the yellow cabin over there. The conversation turned to her new job when Curt chimes in because we had seen a video of her doing her weather forecast. So we're standing in the middle of the room. All of a sudden, Curt moves into action, as we've always seen him do. He goes, you got to have something like you got to finish your newscast with a catchphrase or something. And I knew he had no idea what he's going to say. He said, like Walter Cronkite, that's the way it was, or Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters, we're in touch, so you be in touch. So he goes, I know everybody else in the room we all just started to laugh because we knew it was coming, and Cassie has just the best laugh. She's just a great person. Unfortunately, she's not here today. But, he finishes that sentence, and he says, "Well, now what I want you to do after your next weather forecast, you say, 'I'm Cassie Crimmy, and that's the forecast.'" And we're all just busting out laughing. She can hardly talk. She was laughing. "Now come up here. I want you to say that." She gets up there and she goes, "I'm Cassie Crimmy, and that's the forecast." He goes, "No, what you got to do with authority, you gotta take 2 steps towards the camera and go, 'I'm Cassie Crimmy, and that's the forecast.'" She did it. She nailed it. She still has her job. She probably would be on Good Morning America or something like that. She would have done that, but she's doing pretty well in her own right. So that's Curt.
Okay, here's my brother John. Well, I wasn't going to talk because you guys probably heard enough of me at the actual event last fall, which was kind of strange having 12 people in a room doing a funeral for Curt in light of COVID, but I think it went off well, and a lot of people saw it video streamed. But I do have one funny story to tell. Unfortunately, Raider, you're going to be involved in this one. When we go deer hunting, it's usually not about the deer. It's about anything else that goes along with it. So Raider and Curt and I were hunting somewhere, and we all split off, and we said we're going to meet until about 3 o'clock. And so Raider's out hunting in the woods, and Curt comes up on him, and Raider is oblivious to anything around him, and all of a sudden, Raider's walking around and looking all over, and Curt knew what he was doing. He was looking for that perfect stump to take a poop. And finally finds a stump, and he hangs his jacket, and he takes his stuff off, looking all around him and stuff, and Kurt's behind a tree. And all of a sudden, Raider gets down to the stuff, and looking through all of his pockets, looking for that paper, and doesn't have any paper. And Curt said, all of a sudden, here comes the knife. Reaches down one side, cuts his underwear out, both sides. Rips it up, cuts it in half. Curt came around from the tree and he says, "You've been watching me the whole time." So sometimes it's not always about the deer that are hanging, it's about the stories we tell later. So,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, this is great. You guys, it's not that hard. We're having a good time, right, Connie? This is our cousin Connie. She has the yellow cabin along with her sister.
I'm the favorite cousin. Sorry, everybody. The story I'm about Curt is just one. I hope I make it through it. Okay, when my kids were little, we were unloading our car one day, and I had bought some pop. And Curt walked over to say hello, and he looks at the pop I bought, and he all of a sudden just grabs it from Kyle, my son, and walks it to the back, walks into his cabin, grabs a gun, and he goes to shoot my pop. And the kids were like screaming and yelling. They thought it was the greatest thing, and Kurt's just like, and then he gives the pop back to Kyle, all shut up, and says, "Now you don't bring that here anymore." And the kids just thought it was wonderful. I don't know, but and I'm like, I'm on a budget. I can't have you shooting the pop. But that's Curt for you.
That's good.
Hey, Trav's got a story.
I got something to add to that. So Connie's sister Trudy did the same thing on 4th of July, and so we were sitting here and we see her come in with like 2 24-packs of Coke, and so all the cousins are here, and my dad goes, each one of you guys go in there and ask Connie to see if you can have a pop, like every 5 minutes. And so we go in there and we grab them, and she's like, what is going on? You know, so over the course of an hour, we all go and we get a bunch of pops, and he goes, all right, now you all shake them up and throw them against the trees. And so we were sitting here on that tree, and we were just busting open all the Coke cans. He went in and took the rest of them and lined them up on the picnic table in a single file line, and then took his deer rifle and shot right through them all. And it was the same thing. And she's like, you know, I'm on a budget. What am I gonna do? And then he comes up with, 3 24-packs of Pepsi and says, this is what you're supposed to drink. I guess she was the favorite thing. But
Just one more thing. If you take a look at us three, with this giant in the middle, we walked in, we were pheasant hunting, and we walked into Applebee's after we were done, and you can tell we're all pretty big eaters. So the host says to us, I suppose you're here to eat the all-you-can-eat riblets. And I never heard Curt laugh so hard in his life when he said that. Oh, okay. Like this? All right. Anyway, that was pretty much the end of the story.
Anybody else? All right. Boston, Massachusetts, right? Oh, she's back in Montana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin. I'm Trudy and Daryl's oldest. So Curt introduced my parents, and so
say something.
I can thank him for my
It's recording.
and all of my siblings.
I was gonna go.
And there's like a lot of stories about Curt, but I've always thought about this and just like reflection of it. Curt and I differed on political opinions pretty much all the time, and I think the thing that he taught me most, and watching his relationship with Trav and Ty, and with Laree, and and with Vicky, and he taught me about love, and just that space of that love changes and it shifts, and just to never give up on it. And my greatest love once said to me, and I've just noticed this when I was sitting here, is that our ancestors and our loved ones come to us in the wind. And so when Laree was speaking, it was just this beautiful space of wind that was kind of coming across and towards us. And so that was just something that I wanted to kind of keep in mind, and just, I think there's a space of love always being complicated. But when it comes down to it, family isn't, and love for family isn't. So, and when I was here with family about 3 weeks ago, I had a moment when I was walking out, and it was like the wind picked up again, and I was kind of crying in the bathroom because I was thinking about Curt always took you by surprise. And he, with usually a flashlight like this. And so thinking about him coming up to the windows of the cabin when we were all playing cards, and out of nowhere, or usually out of the dark, I think all of us children would always be so scared about walking to the tent at night, because he would be point blank behind a tree. But it was that great anticipation of screaming and laughter at the same time. And so thinking about that as well. And I think the last story I'll tell is we were all out playing flashlight tag one night, and Curt and my mom and my dad and Connie, I think John, were all like sitting in the cabin, and we had put brownies in the oven before we went out to play, and we forgot about them when we were kind of sucked and consumed in it. And we get back into the cabin, and there was a moment where we're like, oh my God, we forgot about the brownies. And so we ran back in, and we pull out the brownie pan, and in the middle of the brownie pan is like one little brownie, like in the very middle of the pan. And we're looking at him like, and Curt says, that's what happens when you leave brownies. They just shrink. They shrink down to that one thing in the middle. And so that's the moment. We all obviously knew that they were lying, but he always made a joke of good things. So thanks, y'all.
Well, are you coming up, Justin? Come on up here. This is our nephew, Justin. This is Jane's son, part of Triple J Estates. He's the muscles behind the organization.
So I just wanted to say, back to the golf thing, he always wanted to give things to people, which is a good quality in a guy. And I just wanted to say, this right here was the last hat that I received from him before he passed. So it's a cherished thing for me.
Nice.
Love you, Curt.
Yay.
This is primarily the Goranson side here, but we had Mike
Very
Hilzers
nice.
up here, the cousin from, and there's Sheila's over there. I didn't recognize you. Yeah, you were in camo. Any other Hilgers that people wouldn't know? Well, of course, I'm saving the best for last. Is our Aunt Bev? Bev, can you stand up?
I can still do that.
She's
Penny.
the last. She's the last of the Hilgers. This is my dad's sister, Bev, and she's never at a loss for words. But we won't bother her today. And of course, my mother is going to turn 99 in October.
Yay.
And she's sitting there with Lenore, who's got her by 4 years. Lenore's going to be 100 or has just turned 103. Two, like I said, 102. Yeah, I'm getting old myself. Anyway.